Cece Sylvia, we're live. We're live. Hey everybody, good morning. Welcome to the morning Devo with Bo-O. Hope you guys are doing good. Bo-Willette's my name. That's why it's Bo-O, because even though my name is pronounced Willette, it looks very much like Olette. So a lot of people always kind of call me Olette. And it's really Ouellet. That's how you pronounce it anyway. And there's a few different ways of spelling that last name. It's a very popular French-Canadian name, by the way. Actually, one of the Ouellets is going into the Hockey Hall of Fame this go-around, which is very, very cool. I think it's Caroline Ouellet. Played for the Canadian national team for quite a long period of time, has won many awards and all that. So a shout out and give it up for Caroline Ouellet. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, Psalm 95-96 is what we're going to go through today. And it's getting a little more cold out here in the desert, so it's definitely a little bit of hockey ski weather. Look, hopefully they start making that ice rink downtown and we can go there and ski that little thing. I don't know if you've ever been there, but they seem like, or what they've been doing every winter now for the last, I think, couple winters anyway. They've been freezing some ice outside, and you could actually skate outside in Tucson, Arizona. Unbelievable. So very cool. Anyway, you could always check out the archives of the YouTube channel at Beau Ouellet to just go to type the name into the search bar at YouTube, and you'll come up with me and all the different devotions we've done. I go through the book of the Bible. And I just go through the books of the Bible for my devotions. And so, if you wonder why I just go chapter by chapter, it's because the only way you're going to get through the Bible is if you go through it chapter by chapter. So it might seem like, oh man, that's a lot, but it's really not. It really, when we go through it, it makes sense. So a lot of things start making sense. We start understanding so much. Remember, all the New Testament of the Bible is actually, all of it's in these Psalms. It's amazing how these songs are, what they talk about is just reiterated in the New Testament. And the reason why is because this is the Bible that Jesus had. This is the Bible that the apostles had. It is the Old Testament. That's what we're going over. So if everything sounds familiar to you a little bit, and you're a New Testament reader, well, it's because it's all founded and rooted in the Old. Yeah, that's all. So it doesn't mean it's old news. It doesn't mean it's old stuff. It means it's good stuff. It's old in the sense of it's seasoned, right? It's really good, vintage. So anyway, let's get into it. Psalm 95, come let us sing to the Lord. Very cool. Psalm 96 is going to say, sing a new song to the Lord. And what's weird is if you go into Psalm 98, it says, sing a new song to the Lord. And so we're going to see Psalm 101. I sing. A lot of singing songs. So we're at the sing song part of the Psalms, and they are lyrics. So come let us sing to the Lord. Let us shout joyfully to the rock of our salvation. Yeah, that's awesome. Moses sang that kind of song back in the day. We don't know who sang this song, but it sounds like a Moses song, that's for sure. Moses talked about the rock being God. He's immovable. He's a big rock. When I surfed at Morro Bay, they have a big rock. I don't know if you've ever been to Morro Bay out in California, but boy, they got a rock there that's giganto, and it's a surf spot, so it's pretty cool. Come, let us sing to the Lord. Let us shout joyfully to the rock of our salvation. Come, let us come to him with thanksgiving. Let us sing psalms of praise to him. For the Lord is a great God, a great king above all gods. Okay, so the idea of kingship comes in again in the Psalms. God is our king. It says he holds in his hands the depth of the earth and the mightiest mountains. The sea belonged to him, for he made it. His hands formed the dry land too. So the idea is him being kind of like a potter, making things, right? An artist, putting things together. That's kind of this analogy that we see really rooted in Psalm 95. It says, come, let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before the Lord, our God, our Maker. For he is God, and we are the people he watches over the flock of his care. Very cool. Very famous songs, by the way. Worship songs are here in Psalm 95. There's a couple of them that I think of, and that is Rock of My Salvation. That's a famous worship song. And this one, Come Let Us Worship and Bow Down. That's another really cool one that are taken from this psalm. So God is the mighty artist who's making things. His hands have shaped the depth of the sea, the amazing hugeness of the mountains, and you gotta really respect art, that's for sure. Why do we have a knack for art? Where does that come from? Right? What is the survival mechanism of art if you're an evolutionist out there, right? I was, at one point. What was the survival mechanism? Why do we do art? Because it helps our survival. Really? Does it? Maybe it slows us down. And, maybe, from the evolutionist point of view, maybe art was a bad thing because it slowed us down. Instead of fleeing from the enemy, we were just focused on how to put those rocks up in a really interesting, that looks so pretty, and we get killed, I'm not sure art, I'm being funny here, I'm trying to be, but I don't know if art really adds much to the survival mechanism that the naturalist evolutionists tend to say that we are. But from the biblical perspective, it's easy to know why we love art and why art is everywhere. Music is everywhere. Singing for songs of joy. Why God is depicted, or why we tend to do art and painting and sculpting and so many crafts and foil art. That's a thing too. Why do we tend to do all that? What is it about art that really grabs us? Well, maybe it's because we're made in the image of our Creator, and our Creator is an artist. And so all of us have this knack for art, even an ability to understand art, just innately in our mind. It affects us innately. You don't have to take a class. You don't really need to take art appreciation at university to understand or appreciate art. It just comes to us, right? We just naturally understand that is beautiful, that really impacts my soul, kind of thing. And God tends to be the artist. Maybe I need to look at God a little more as an artist, since the Psalms do. And think of God not so much just as a judge or a king, but maybe also think of him as an artist as well. How would that change my perspective of God? Would it? So it's something to think about. If only you would listen to his voice today. That's a question. If only you would listen to his, or a statement. If only you would listen to his voice today. The Lord says, don't harden your hearts, as Israel did at Meribah, as they did at Massah in the wilderness. For there your ancestors tested and tried my patience, even though they saw everything I did. For 40 years I was angry with them, and I said, they are a people whose hearts turn away from me. They refuse to do what I tell them. So in my anger I took an oath, they will never enter my place of rest. Okay, so it's a reiteration of the time in the wilderness of Israel. They flee from Pharaoh. They cross the Red Sea. They go into the wilderness wandering. They travel to the Promised Land, day's journey, and instead of going in, they have a stubborn heart, a rebellious heart. They want to go back to Egypt. They become unappreciative, and they just don't trust that God has their best interest in mind. They don't trust the Psalms that say, hey, God will not withhold any good thing for those who walk uprightly, right? Uprightly, looking up. We just don't trust that. And, good question. Do I trust that? Do I trust God has my best interest in mind? Do I really trust that God has my best, that he's got my back, that he knows what I need? He knows what I need when I need it. He knows what's going to help me, encourage me, what things are going to humble me, and it's all part of His discipline. So they weren't able to enter into that promised land, that whole generation, and we see that the question or the statement that's given in the psalm or the song is, if only you would listen to His voice today. Hey, today is a day. I don't know where you're at today, but today maybe you need to, trust God. Maybe today's that day, So, maybe we're looking at wrong people, wrong things to meet the need, the inner need. And when I mean need, sometimes I mean inner need. Those things that are in here, in the heart, right? Things that move us, things that motivate us. And we have to ponder that and think through it. So, would we listen to God's voice today? Very impactful. And Jesus, we're here. Would I listen to His voice today? That's a good one too. So one to think about. Psalm 96. Sing a new song to the Lord. So let's not just sing to the Lord joyfully, but let's sing a new song to the Lord. Hey, that new tune. Man, they play a new tune at church. How bad is that? Man, I really like the old ones. The old ones are cool. The new ones are cool. We have to learn new ones. Some of the newer people need to learn the old ones. It's a lot of mix, right? Different dates of when these songs are written. Some of them are new to me. The newer ones are new to me because I'm not too cued into all the new hip, worship tunes, that kind of thing. But, I might know some of the old ones, the old Maranatha or Vineyard. Those ones more are my kind of generation. That Passion era, the Passion worship songs that came out too. I remember those a lot. But, sometimes people just complain about worship music all the time. It's just unfortunate. Boy, unbelievable to me. It's like, this is this is that, this is that, this is this is it. It's like, hey, man, this is about Jesus, man. It's about Jesus. My worship music, I got to tell you, my worship music folk, I love Arvo Part, or you could call him Pärt. Arvopart. Arvopart. Arvo Part, an Estonian composer. Wonderful, but not like worship music like you would think. It's classical music. It's a certain part, discipline in classical music, but that's very worshipy to me. But and sometimes other kind of far out music is worshipy to me. Very much I can focus on upward on the Lord when I listen to the music. But, congregational worship, and that's what we do at church, it needs to just be really, just about singing unto the Lord. That's what it's about, congregational worship. I'm not worshiping by myself. I'm worshiping with all my brothers and sisters in Christ. Last thing I want to do is quench the spirit by complaining. Sing a new song to the Lord. Let the whole earth sing to the Lord. Sing to the Lord, praise His name. Each day proclaim the good news that He saves. Oh, the good news. That's right. The good news is in the Old Testament. Whoa, mind blower, right? That's right. Everything in the new is in the old. That's right. That's right. It's very much. Jesus has come to fulfill. He has come to fulfill the old. He is the fulfillment of the good news. So each day proclaim His name. Each day proclaim the good news. What is it? That He saves. What does Jesus mean? God is salvation. And that's right. Each day proclaim the good news that He saves. That's right. praise Jesus, right? When we say praise Jesus, yeah, we're in Psalm 96. Tell everybody about the amazing things he has done. Great is the Lord. He is most worthy to be praised. He is to be feared above all gods. The gods of other nations are mere idols. But the Lord made the heavens. Everything the Lord made. Honor and majesty surround him. Strength and beauty fill his sanctuary. All the other nations, my people from the past, your people from the past, we all worshipped idols. All of our ancestors were involved in idolatry. That's right. We all have distortions of the true and living God. We might have parts right, but so much of it has been distorted over time. Israel has the truth of the true and living God. And so how does the world respond to Israel? Whoa, you think they'd be like grateful, right? Hey, that's so awesome. Thanks for giving us all this. But instead, what do we see today? Incredible hatred, right? An incredible not indignation, that's righteous wrath, just a disdain, right? A jealousy, an envy towards Israel. Not just today, but all throughout history. This is how it's been. A weird vibe that's always been against the Jewish people. Isn't that interesting? It's just bizarre to me how people can attack Israel and the Jewish people over and over and over. The Nazis did what they did not that long ago. And yet today you have people all over the world that are for Hamas, and for what Hamas has done. Unbelievable. Right? It's crazy to think that way. Right? But you got to understand the spiritual understanding. All of our ancestors have worshipped idols. Israel is the only nation that had it right. They're the only nation that has held on to the true and living God. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And this is what the Psalms declare, is that all of our gods are idols, wrong, false, and that their God created the heavens and the earth. There is no other God but the God of the Jews. Very, very pointed, right? And so there is a spiritual hatred towards Israel. Oh, Israel, you're so stuck on yourself. Oh, Israel, you're so, boastful. You're so proud. You're so this, you're so that. You can see it over and over and over, right? It says, give to the Lord the glory he deserves. Bring your offering and come to his courts. That's right. And I forgot verse 7. It says, O nations of the world, recognize the Lord. Recognize that the Lord is glorious and strong. So it's a message to the nations to wake up and see who the true and living God is. Verse 9, worship the Lord in all his holy splendor. Let all the earth tremble before him. Tell all the nations, the Lord reigns. The world stands firm and cannot be shaken. So the idea is that the world would take note of our worship of him. That as we worship God, that people would go, whoa, that's amazing. These people really love and enjoy their God. Sometimes our worship can tell the tale of whether we really like God or not, right? Whether we're really into the Lord or not, by our joy. That's why it says sing joyfully. If you're not too into God, you're probably just going to come to church and kind of, whatever, But when you're into God, you really want to press into the Lord. You really want to think of the Lord. You really love the Lord and what he's done is grace for you. The good news, right? The good news that he has held out to you. What's the good news? Yeah, Jesus is that good news, that God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him would not perish but have eternal life. That's pretty good news. And for a guy like me, I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that free gift of salvation. So it's kind of neat. Worship the Lord, and may everybody pay attention, right? Because of our worship of the true and living God. And it says in verse 11, let the heavens be glad and let the earth rejoice. This idea that everything is in harmony, everything's at peace. Let the sea and everything in it shout his praise. Let the fields and their crops burst out with joy. Let the trees of the forest rustle with praise before the Lord, for he is coming. He is coming to judge the earth. He will judge the world with justice and the nations with his truth. Wow, this is talked about actually in the book of Acts in the New Testament, where Paul says to a group of people, God has appointed a day in which he will judge the world in righteousness. That's what Paul said in Acts 17 in the New Testament. And he said, he's reiterating this psalm. He's saying God will judge the world in righteousness. And then Paul, by the way, says, by the man whom he's raised from the dead. That's right. How do we know Jesus is the righteous judge? Because he is the one who conquered death. He's the one that goes into death to change the very nature of it. So instead of death being a separation from God, death becomes a birth. It becomes the entrance to go see God. He changes its nature, so to speak. Very interesting. There's a book by that was written around 300 AD by Athanasius called The Incarnation, and that's quite a book on that subject, The Incarnation by Athanasius. But anyway, I love this, right? I think David Crowder wrote one of his early worship songs in this with these verse 11, verse 12. Passages, that kind of idea that the trees sing and that the earth, the sea, and everything in it, everything's praising God. Everything's finally in its right state. And in that sense, the church is to be in that right state. It's to be that one place on the planet where we can go and find this worshiping of God, this right balance going on, that this is the way the world is to work. This is the way we are to work as people. We are to come before God. Let us worship the Lord. Let us kneel before the Lord, our God, our Maker. This is the one place on the planet where you see congregational rightness, if that makes sense. Congregational rightness. We're doing the right thing congregationally. We're all before God, and he is our King. So you can see how this is supposed to look, and how the church is supposed to be that place where we see this kind of rightness, this order, the correct way happening. And it's something that the trees join in, the sea joins in, everything just joins in with this congregation that is finally in its right humble state before the King, right? Not in a lofty state, not in a proud state, not in a state that's, I have it all together, but a state that understands that we need the Lord, right? We need his gospel, his good news. We need salvation today kind of idea. So that's Psalm 95, 96 in a nutshell. There's a lot of great songs that are written from these two Psalms, and a lot of scriptures too. So Paula says she loves the music at our church, what the band plays, a good mixture of old and new. It really touches her heart. That's awesome. Hey, Patty, good morning. So glad you're there. Tina, good morning. I think maybe Casey's in the house too. Was Casey there? I don't know. But anyway, it is good seeing you guys, having you guys in the comment corner. And I hope you get some good stuff from Psalm 95, 96. Amazing depth and riches of New Testament teachings that we see are found in these Psalms. the idea of the church, the idea of worshiping God, the idea of the rightness of our place in our worship with God, singing joyfully unto the Lord, that our congregational worship is important because it is the place that where things are supposed to be right, that people can come in and go, this community is doing the right thing. We are humbling ourselves before the Creator. There's a right order, anyway, in the Christian community. So, very cool. Hey, have a great day. It's Tuesday, 28th, so enjoy it, and we'll talk to you soon, okay? Bye-bye.